This is Ben from Life in 360, and this Insta360 One review was shot entirely with the Insta360 One. There's been so much hype around this camera and people are wanting to know, is it as epic as they say it is? So in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the Insta360 One, who it's for, and whether you should buy it. The camera design of the Insta360 One is unlike anything I've ever seen. You can use it in many different ways, and the first thing that stood out to me in my unboxing video was the fact that the lenses are on different planes. We've got one up the top and one in the middle there. In my experience, this hasn't really affected the image, but it is pretty funny looking, don't you think? You'll also see that there's quite a significant gap in between the lenses. This is maybe twice as thick as some of the other cameras like the Xiaomi and the Theta V. Because of this, there's going to be way bigger stitching errors, and you should stay way the hell away from the seam line unless you like the mutant look. You like having half your face chopped off, which suits me, but it may not suit everyone, so you might want to avoid that. Otherwise, with the design, there are many features that I actually do like. Unlike the Nano that had the permanent lightning port, you can see it has a pop-up port just there. So that's really handy because it means you can use it with your phone or without, and it just clicks away. And that's really handy. I like that a lot. To be honest, I hate the idea of using a 360 camera with a phone. 360 cameras can do so much more when they're on their own. However, I must say one thing I love about attaching my Insta360 One to my phone is having a massive iPhone screen to preview everything I'm looking at live in 360. That's really cool, and it's harder to do that with other cameras. Yeah, you can do it over Wi-Fi connection, but you don't get as sharp resolution. There's one benefit to plugging the One into your phone. And for those of you wondering how I'm holding an Insta360 One while filming on an Insta360 One, well, I've got two. You have a tripod thread down here and it's made of plastic. Beware, I haven't had any issues with it yet, but I wouldn't discount it having issues later. Maybe it could break. I don't know, probably not if you're sensible, but I'm not very sensible. Next to the tripod thread, we have the micro SD slot. And I know that's a really strange place to put it, but I've actually found it to be really handy. This button here is the on-off, and you can also press it twice, I think, for video, 3 times for time-lapse. I don't even remember, to be honest. I find it a little bit confusing. I'd much rather connect to my smartphone. You can use this via Bluetooth connection. However, beware, it's not going to give you a live view. You're going to have to guess. You can change your settings manually. However, you can't see what you're looking at until you plug the camera back into your phone. This is the case that it came with, and I've got to say, I hate it. It's not a good case. It's hard plastic, and it's actually really hard to jam the camera in there. It's always a struggle. Like, I'm literally, I'm struggling to get this in right now. You've got to get on the exact right angle for it to go in smoothly. Otherwise, it actually touches the lenses and smudges them up. Sometimes I've had smudged photos. Every other 360 camera comes with a soft case of some kind, whether it be neoprene or a pouch. This is good because it holds your camera, but also it cleans the lenses as you're moving it around. This one doesn't. And by the way, to state the obvious, the Insta360 One is for iPhone only, no Android yet. It is coming, potentially in the next 1 to 2 months, but it's not ready. So iPhone users, you can buy this. Android, not yet. The image quality is 6912 by 3456. And while this is above average for consumer 360 cameras, you shouldn't buy a 360 camera just based on resolution. All around versatility and a number of other factors are more important. So let's take a look at some other features now. The One has the ability to shoot RAW photos, which is groundbreaking for point and shoot 360 cameras. You'll need to stitch in Insta360 Studio on desktop, then bring the file into a RAW photo editor like Photoshop or Lightroom. Here's a normal photo taken with the One and a RAW photo. Obviously, the normal one looks better straight out of the camera, but now I'll try color grading them and see how that equation changes. So the RAW photo is looking way better. The normal photo is looking maybe 10% better. And to be honest, I really like the look of both of them, and I don't see that much of a difference between them in this specific situation. It's going to be high contrast situations that you see the biggest difference, but it's by no means an essential part of the workflow to edit RAW photos. It's only for you color grading nerds out there that want full control of your dynamic range like me and love playing with color. The video quality is 4K, and in my experience so far, it's been very decent. It handles most situations pretty well. The One lets you shoot in log mode, which essentially is the same principle as RAW. It gives you more control over your colors later on. However, I haven't really found this to be that different to any other 360 camera, and the dynamic range has been more or less the same. Stitching test, and I just want to say no, I'm not an amputee. This was unfortunately the not so good stitching from the One. This is one
one of the big weaknesses of the One. The stitching isn't that good because the lenses are far away. Within the app, there's an optimized stitching option. However, when I press it on and off, I've found it doesn't make that much of a difference. This means you'll need to keep all important details of your scene away from the seam line and in front of the front or back lenses. You will also need to be careful around direct sunlight. I mean, look, this is an issue that every single 360 camera has. However, I have noticed something different about the One. It almost seems like one lens has a haze over it, and as I move the camera around, you can see the haze changes to the other lens. Look, I'm probably over-analyzing it, but this is something you definitely will want to check as you're shooting to make sure you have a camera position that works the best in direct sunlight. One of the coolest features of the Insta360 One is the beautiful 6-axis stabilization. You can shake this camera in any direction and it's going to stabilize itself. This is really handy if you're on the go a lot and completely careless like I am here. 360 video can be nauseating already, so having this feature means you probably won't make your audience sick, and that is always a good thing. I just find this incredible, and the Insta360 One is an improvement yet again on the Nano and the Air for stabilization. Even when I shake it around violently, mom's spaghetti still remains very much in my stomach. Don't try this at home, and by that, I mean definitely do try this. It's fun.
Previously, I mentioned the fact that the Insta360 One has drifting issues. If I set it up and let it go for a few minutes, slowly the file would move to the left, to the left, to the left. Well, after posting that video, I did hear a few other people had this issue, so it's not just me. However, I think I might have found a fix for it. You are able to calibrate the 360 camera within the app. There are two options. You can calibrate the stabilization and you can calibrate the stitching. You'll want to do both. This involves moving the camera 90 degrees at a time. You just follow the prompts. It'll take 30 seconds. But this very well could be a solution to the dreaded drifting issue.
Next, we have the much hyped bullet time effect, which involves attaching a string to the One, changing it into bullet time mode where it records 240 frames a second and you swing it around your head at about a 1.5 meter distance to kind of create a matrix-like effect. I think this effect is pretty cool, but you only get a 720p output, and also I don't really see how you could actually use this other than silly social media videos. It's definitely a cool effect, but I think it's going to be something that comes and goes. You're putting your camera at risk by trying this. It could easily smash into a wall or the string could come loose from your finger. So really it depends on how much of a daredevil you are. For me, the final effect isn't really worth risking breaking my camera, especially given the prominent seam line that is exacerbated by swinging the camera around. If you are a badass and want to try this, I'd suggest doing it in strong sunlight. All cameras perform super slow motion much better in strong sunlight. This was late afternoon here and the sun was just on the horizon.
Here's the One in low light, and looking at my iPhone here, I'm seeing a lot of noise everywhere, especially in the darker, really dark areas, whereas I think some other 360 cameras would pick those areas up. The lighter areas, yeah, they're doing okay. I'd say this is acceptable, but I don't know. I probably wouldn't rely on the Insta360 One for anything this dark. You'll have to go into outdoor lighting at the very least, or shoot late afternoon, but not when the sun goes down.
The Insta360 One app is basically the same thing they've used with their previous two cameras. However, there is one feature that sets this app apart from every other 360 camera app out there, and it's called free capture. Put simply, it allows you to watch back your 360 videos and hold the record button down as you move your phone around and record a regular viewpoint. I'm essentially able to utilize the whole 360 video and convert it into a normal 16:9 video. This is super cool because I'm moving my phone around as we speak and it looks like I'm just holding a regular video camera. I haven't yet seen a mobile application do something like this, so Insta360 are leading the way when it comes to manipulating your 360 videos on mobile. This is something that's super handy if you're a blogger that's into 360, and this is one of the best features of the Insta360 One. The next cool feature of the app is called Smart Track, where you can draw a green box around your subject and it tracks you throughout the whole video and makes sure you stay in the dead center. This is deadly accurate, however it does make the background jitter a lot, as you may have noticed in the earlier sections of this video. I bet you were thinking, something isn't quite right. What is that? I can't put my finger on it. That's it. Oh, and by the way, expect to see this screen a lot. Whenever you have the camera attached to your phone and you switch apps, it will automatically disconnect. Then you'll have to unplug and reconnect. Also, sometimes I've found the camera takes a really long time to be recognized. And while you can plug it in either way into the lightning jack, I've found sometimes it takes a ridiculously long time to recognize the camera. And by ridiculously long, I mean 20 or 30 seconds, which is ridiculously long. Then again, sometimes it can take 3 seconds. So patience is a quality you will need to have.
One feature that the Insta360 One beats every other 360 camera out there with is to do with storage. And yes, it does have a micro SD slot there, but you can record straight to your iPhone. This is super cool. If you do forget your memory card for some reason, you can record straight to your phone. How cool is that? I know you'd have to be really forgetful to forget your micro SD card, but I'm really forgetful, and I've done it twice already since owning my Insta360 One, and that has saved me. I mentioned in my test footage video that I was having issues with micro SD cards. I tried every single one out there, and none of them would work. Well, I'm here to tell you that I've solved that problem. I found the perfect micro SD card. It's this little SanDisk one, the red and black. I'll put a link in the description. There aren't going to be many SD cards that work with it. You need a super fast one, 95 megabits a second plus, and ultra high speed 3, but there are a few. Check the description. But Mr. Ben, is the Insta360 One better than the Theta V or the Xiaojing camera? Well, I'd say it's not as good for video, although it has some really stylish features. However, it is more versatile than those other two cameras. In my opinion, those two cameras beat the Insta360 One when I put them side by side in that video comparison. But in terms of all-around versatility, I think the One wins. And for me, almost the app alone is what wins me over to the Insta360 One. I love shooting tiny planets. I love manipulating my 360s into other things. So to be able to do that within the app is something I'm really looking forward to doing. Look, I probably won't use this as my #1 camera. However, I will keep it on me as I travel around and I just need something different and I need blog material. I will definitely be getting the Insta360 One out. The One is currently retailing for $300. And is it worth $300? Let me think about it. Hell yes, it is absolutely worth $300. Given it can do so many different things, it actually is a very good photo camera and a good video camera. Yeah, look, there's gonna be stitching issues and the colors aren't always the most vivid, and it will be slightly inferior to the other cameras in a few areas, but I would say the One is a really good all-around camera to do everything. And because I'm a blogger, I know it's going to really help me get stylish looking blogs out really fast without having to go to my computer at all. I can do it all on my phone. So if you're a blogger, the Insta360 One is a very good option for you. The One is currently available on Amazon, so I'll put a link down in the description, and it's going to be available on GearBest really soon for even cheaper. So I'm going to put a link to that as well down in the description, so definitely check them out and figure out which one's the lower price. Just get the cheaper one. I'd also strongly suggest you join the Insta360 community group on Facebook if you have any questions, if you want to see sample photos, sample videos, and just see all the wacky experiments people are up to. I always find that group really interesting. I hang out there a lot, so I would definitely suggest you join. If you have any questions, leave them in the box below and I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Oh, one more thing. Can I put it in my mouth? Drooly.